Hello, humans, and welcome back to another episode of RD2H Road to Happiness, Building Our Dream Realities. So, this week's episode is one that I'm sure everybody can relate to. When you feel like you're doing everything right and everything in your control, trying to build some stability in your life, and nothing's working. Everything keeps falling apart. I like to call them hallucinations in the desert. You're going through the desert, you're fighting, you are literally doing everything that you can, and all of a sudden you see water. And you're like, oh my God, this is it. This is the moment everything changes. This is the moment that things start to get easier. Life starts to open up, only for that opportunity or thing that you thought was going to work out to fall through. And you realize it was always a hallucination in the desert and you're still tracking the journey. So dealing with that, dealing with what it's actually teaching you, and dealing with not only just sitting in it, but realizing that the hallucinations are there to show you what's not real, so that when you are building stability, you can easily detect what's actually real and going to stay. So RD2H, Road to Happiness, building our dream realities, one life lesson at a time. Let's do it. So recently, for a while actually, I've been getting in my head, I'm like, I'm doing everything right. I'm trying to get any sort of stability, anything that is going to be there tomorrow. So, like, I just want something in my life that I don't have to worry is not going to be there tomorrow. And I had to have it happen to me in the most dramatic way for me to realize that I am putting stability in unstable places. So lately, I've been, as you guys know, trying to build my life in Los Angeles, taking all of these risks, 23, have no stability, and I'm doing all the work. I'm going to the gym. I'm putting myself out there emotionally. I'm showing up to working 12-hour days. I'm eating right. I'm trying to be like this perfect human being, and getting frustrated when I'm not seeing the results immediately. And it's easier to say like, oh yeah, I know that the results aren't going to come immediately. It's harder to actually sit in it and then see like lights trickle in. So you'll see things that kind of indicate you're on the right path. I had a contract go out to a client and it was about to be taken on to market. I had a relationship that I thought was going really well. I had a contest where I was going to win $10,000 at work, and I was like, it's finally going to bring me some financial stability. And then one by one, those things fell through. I lost the contest. The client never signed the contract. The relationship ended up being a huge love bombing, crazy, probably the craziest dating experience I've ever had. Everything fell through. And I was kind of holding on to, if one of these things sticks, that means that my life is opening up. That means things are getting easier. When in reality, each and every one of those things were teaching me how to see unstable promises so that I don't fall into that trap next time, so that as I'm building my life and continuing to grow, I can spot instability quicker and therefore not relearn the same life lessons. So for example, the contract not going through. There were people in the office that said, I don't think he has a lot of motivation. And my naive, hopeful little rookie self was like, no, this is going to be it. This is going to be the listing. Now that I've been hurt by the fact that he didn't sign the contract, going forward in my career, I can see quicker when someone's not as motivated to sell. With the competition, it sucked. I worked my ass off for that. I absolutely deserved a better place than I received, but it taught me how to show up for myself even when I don't want to. It taught me how to handle short-term failures and not let them bleed into my long-term success. It taught me not to bank everything onto one outcome. So I did learn even if I lost. The relationship, it taught me that I'm maybe have a little bit of attachment issues that I'll go through in a love bombing episode I'm going to make. It taught me how to spot love bombing earlier. It taught me what a healthy start to a relationship looks like versus a not healthy, unstable start to a relationship looks like, which I was blind to because I didn't want to see it before, and I had to get hurt emotionally for me to take those life lessons into the next dating experience I have. So each and every one of those I was holding on to like it was hope, like it was going to bring me something more fulfilling, when each and every one of those were in fact a hallucination in the desert, teaching me what water doesn't look like. Okay, teaching me that, yeah, this looks great, this looks like a saving grace, this looks like water, it looks like something that's going to bring into your life, but it was actually teaching me what water doesn't look like. So next time I can go and be like, hey, that's a fucking hallucination. That's not real. And be able to spot real things quicker so that I could build more stability in my life. And I also realized that me putting so much meaning onto these experiences that are supposed to teach me, they're supposed to be fun, are actually limiting my ability to just ride the freaking wave. I can't ride the wave when I'm like, this has to be the wave that takes me back to shore. It's just going to take me a little bit closer. It's not going to take me all the way back to shore. And so I'm like, this is the big monster wave that's going to get me out of the ocean, that's going to bring me all the way back to shore. When in reality, it's just another wave I'm trying to surf and have a good time on while it lasts. It's short term. And so I could have enjoyed the relationship and the fun chaotic of it and the toxicity of it a little bit more had I not gripped onto a future fantasy that for sure the guy was giving me. He was love bombing me. But had I been conscious enough to not grip onto a future fantasy, maybe I would have enjoyed that experience a little bit more. Had I not been so, this is the outcome that has to happen with the competition, maybe I would have enjoyed the fact that I got 2 nationals. Like, I may have not won the entire competition, but I was 4th place in a national competition across the United States. That's not nothing. But I couldn't enjoy it because my goal wasn't 4th place. My goal was 1st. So it doesn't matter that I made it to nationals. My goal prevented me, and my expectations prevented me from actually enjoying the experience. So I'm finding now that my expectations in life and my expectations on what I think the outcome should be and what I'm expecting the outcome to be is preventing me from actually enjoying the experiences and the short-term learning that's in front of me. Not everything in life is meant to last. Not everything in life is meant to bring you stability. Sometimes it's just a learning lesson, but those learning lessons can be fun if you're not attaching such high important outcomes to every single one of them, which is my problem. And while I'm sitting in it, like I'm doing everything right, and nothing's working, and every time it feels like there's something that is going to work, it falls apart, I'm making it bigger in my mind than it needs to be. And it, like, when I'm sitting in it, it literally feels like I'm at war. It feels like I'm at war and I have no choice but to fight or die. I either like take a hit, stand back up and keep fighting the fight, or I'm never going to get home. Like, there is the enemy literally coming after me, and if I don't stop fighting for myself and fighting for my dream reality and fighting for the life that I want, I'm just never going to get there. It literally feels like fight or die. And that, again, is my brain really emphasizing how much we're holding on to specific outcomes. Because if I were to let go of these specific outcomes and didn't attach a future to the guy, didn't attach a stability to the listing, didn't attach financial security to the competition outcome, then it would have just been an experience that I was learning and giving my most to and not expecting outcomes. So the fact that I want everything to happen tomorrow, I want the dream life, the dream financial, the stability, the guide, the everything, I want it tomorrow, which just isn't going to happen, is making every failure just feel like it's bigger than it is. Every time something starts to come and an opportunity starts to align and then it falls through, I'm placing so much emphasis and failure on that, and the fact that I'm doing everything right, I'm showing up, and it's still not working, when in reality those are little glimpses telling me I'm on the right path and trying to teach me how to point out stability quicker, how to enjoy the ride without expecting outcomes. Because if I'm constantly expecting outcomes on my life, every single time that piece of stability that was never meant to be stable inevitably dissolves and disappears, I feel like my entire life has collapsed, when in reality it was just one life experience that was fleeting. It was just a passing life lesson that I expected to bring stability, and so when it doesn't work out, I'm like, wow, my entire life and everything that I'm doing and all the work I'm doing is leading me nowhere. But what I'm expecting to build isn't going to come from one single moment. It's going to come from being able to recognize the real things in life, recognize the things that are actually probability, not only in brokerage, but in building your dream reality, and not attaching life meaning or your work ethic to one specific outcome, but like in brokerage, creating a pipeline of outcomes so when one thing doesn't work out, there's other things on the horizon that you're working towards, and not having all of your eggs in one basket. So that's a life lesson I'm learning right now, because when I'm in it and everything collapses, like I said, it feels like hallucinations in the desert. It feels like everything's falling apart. It feels like all my work is for nothing, when in reality, there's not going to be one moment where I feel like I made it. There's not going to be one moment where I feel like, okay, things are finally good. It's going to come through stifling and having to make contact with false hope so that I can recognize that it's false hope quicker. So overall, maybe you are doing everything right. Maybe you are showing up in your fullest extent. Maybe you are walking through the desert and dealing with the hard times, and you're putting the hours in at work, and you're opening yourself emotionally, and you are doing everything that is in your control to get yourself into a better position tomorrow than you want to be in today. But maybe you're also attaching outcomes to that and expecting, just because you're doing things right, for it to happen on your timeline, when that's not how growth works at all. The experiences I've had in the last couple of weeks really outlined for me just how much more growing I have to do. And you don't realize it until you see it, until you're brought in down to being a little humbled. But I thought I was way further along in the growth journey than I was. And then after these last couple of weeks, I'm realizing, wow, I have a long way to go. I'm nowhere near the start. I'm nowhere near the middle. Like, I have a long way to go. And maybe I am doing everything right, but I can't expect my life to be what I want it to be tomorrow just because I've been putting in the work. Maybe life is going to continue to test me so that when I do have stability, it's because I know how to recognize stability, and I know how to put my energy towards things that are actually going to guide me. And in order to do that, you have to first put your energy towards things that don't work, and realize why they don't work, and realize how you're going to pivot. And that's still putting energy. You're still putting work in. You are still putting work in, even if you're putting it into the wrong things. But if you don't put them into the wrong things at first, then you're never going to realize where your energy actually compounds. So you have to fail, and you have to make the mistakes so that you can then pivot and say, that's not in my best interest. That is not a motivated client. That is not a guy that's serious. That is not what I want. And I'm not going to put my energy towards something like that again. But I had to learn the lesson. I had to be hit in order to be able to dodge the hit next time. So that's kind of what I'm learning. Sometimes it feels like you're doing everything right. Sometimes it feels like you're in the desert. Sometimes it feels like you're at war and you don't want to fight anymore. Like, the last thing I wanted to do after the last couple of weeks I had was dust myself off and keep moving forward. But that's the only thing that's going to get me to where I want to be. Take the hit, feel the pain, learn the lesson, get back up, dodge the hit next time. And that's the growth here at RD2H that is ultimately going to get us to our dream realities. So just because you're doing everything right doesn't mean that you have learned everything you need to learn. You have to keep walking the path, keep trying to do everything right. And when you realize that, maybe you failed there, take a moment to take a hit, get back up, and do it again. And again, and again, and again, until it sticks, until life starts to be what you imagine it to be. So, RD2H, Road to Happiness, building our dream realities, one life lesson at a time. Love you guys. Do not quit. Figure out what it's teaching you and move the fuck on. Love you guys. Bye.